Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Java Chat. My name's Coffee with Mike, and I happen to be sitting here with a good buddy, a new good buddy that we've had the chance to chat a couple of times. And I said, I think you need to come on here and share some of your story and experience. So I have the pleasure of interviewing today Dan Zitofsky from the Passive Wealth Academy. Good morning, Dan.
Morning, Mike. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time out.
I appreciate you taking out the time because, we really try to provide as much value as we can for our listeners. And cool, and we are live. I'm just making sure that we are live on our page, and we are cool.
Awesome. A win.
Yeah, total. That's the first one. Now let's see if we can keep it going. So I don't even exactly remember when or how we connected. I know it had to do something with real estate, and I know that's your whole deal right now is
right.
Passive wealth through real estate investing. Can you kind of give us a brief on where you're from? I mean, where you at? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into this particular specialty? Because you've been killing it out here,
Thank you.
I'm sure people want to know. And then I'll ask you the other question. This came up first, though.
Yeah,
let's start that.
I appreciate that. I mean, I'm doing this now 28 years. I started back
wow,
almost 18, 19 years old. I did everything from, grew up watching my grandfather. He owned a little bit of real estate, came here with no money, bought some real estate. And I used to watch him. I was enamored with the fact that he would just go and pick up money from tenants. I always loved that part of it. I always wanted to do that. I didn't realize how hard it really was until I got involved myself. But I was a saver. I was a hard worker as a kid. I saved up a little money. I bought my first property, which was a condo, and I rented it out. And I wound up going into the Navy. I have a story growing up. It was a tough life. I didn't have the best childhood in the world. I don't like the pity party or anything like that, but I really should have been a statistic. So at 18 years old, I decided at that point I couldn't do college anymore because I couldn't afford it. I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to pay for it. So I wanted to go into the Navy. And while I was in the Navy, the funny part about it is that this is the where it starts is I was making $248 every 2 weeks in the Navy when I first got in. And I was making about $600 a month as a landlord while I was in the Navy. I was making more money passively on one property as a military E1 in the U.S. Navy. So also at that time, I was under 21 years old. So when I got out of boot camp and I went to Corps school, I was a hospital corpsman in the Navy. When I went to Corps school, my going out on weekends might have been going to Taco Bell or going to the gym and watching movies. I couldn't go out drinking with these 21-year-olds. So I used to come home with all these checks. I used to have the rental money. And at that point, I came back and I remember everyone got paid and they're eating steak dinners and going out drinking the first day. But the second week, everyone's eating bologna sandwiches in the commissary. So what happened to me? I had the money. So I became the one. I learned early on that, hey, I'm going to lend money. I probably shouldn't even talk about this because what I was doing was probably not even the right way to do it. I was lending the money and I was getting paid back money on my money. And the next payday, the same thing would happen. And it worked out great. But anyway, fast forward, I came out of the Navy. Tough to find jobs. I got in the mortgage business, back in the mortgage business, which I did in high school. And I started becoming a lender. Further on, became a broker. And while I was doing that, became a police officer in New York City. And at that time, being a police officer in New York City, I was making $28,000 a year with a wife and a kid. Living in New York. That wasn't going to work. So keep going forward. I'm opening my brokerage. I'm doing a lot of mortgages. All the money I made in mortgages, I was buying real estate. The real estate was providing me additional income. Funny story about the police department is I was a young guy, new rookie, making $28,000 to $30,000 a year the first few years until I got to top pay. And I'm driving a brand new Acura 3.5 RL. I have a house. It got to the point where I was actually being investigated because they didn't know. Yeah, I was being investigated.
Wow.
I actually sat down and went through an investigation on this, and they asked me questions. By the end of the investigation, they started asking me how to get involved in real estate.
That's awesome.
Because in that department, everyone has these, most people have a limited mindset. They believe they're not supposed to be successful. They believe they're supposed to be miserable. They believe they can't make extra money and they can't do what it takes. So why I'm saying this is not to impress anyone. It's to impress upon you that you need to think differently. It's all about mindset and thinking differently. And I refused because I grew up, it was very tough. My mother took off when we were young. My father did what he could do to try to take care of us. You know, we had a roof overhead, we had food, but we didn't have extras. I mean, we're kind of on our own. And I always said at that point, you know, I'm never going to be like this. I'm never going to do this to the kids. I'm always going to make sure we had money for stuff. I'm always going to make sure I took care of them. And, you know, fast forward, I got into everything from when I left the police department after 9/11. I went really hard into fixing flipping, right? Because I was chasing that money, right? So at one point, for many years, I was doing 30 to 40 properties every month, making no less than $40,000 net on a property. And the reason I say that is because anything less than 40,000, I would just wholesale the deal.
Sure.
But I was getting a lot of times 70, 80, 90,000 on a property. So figure it out, 30, 40 properties a year. I was doing very well, multiple seven-figure.
I would say, yeah, I would say.
So I was out there. Yeah, I was out there at that point. So that's where the story really started. I was out there buying all the cars, the nicest cars that you see people on Facebook. They rent out and they post on Facebook, and it looks like their cars. They put those out. I own those. Boats, watches. I mean, I have a watch collection that can crush most people. But that, you know, so I was doing that for my wife, buying her all the cars, jewelry, vacations. The vacations I won't give up, but it got to the point where I was working 100, 120 hours a week, and I had no life. Yeah. So now when I get introduced on stage to speak at an event, I'm actually introed as one of the most unsuccessful millionaires you'd ever meet. Because what happened? Wow. Yeah, after all these years, that's how this book came out, right? Passive to Prosperous. We're a best-selling author in this book.
Okay.
We talked about that, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. Is when I speak to people, when I coach them or mentor them, even I do a lot of mentoring, a lot of consulting with businesses outside of real estate now, because it's the same facet for every business. I said, why are you in business for yourself? And usually it's, I want to work for myself. Why do you want to work for yourself? Because I don't want to answer to anybody. Why don't you want to answer money? Because I want to have the time to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, anytime I want. I was working 100, 120 hours a week. Why? Because I had the ego problem, right? Because I was so unhappy with myself. I grew up in basically depressed and miserable. And I always said, I'm not going to do that to I'm going to give them what they wanted. But what they wanted was me. They didn't want the toys, the this, the that. I mean, yeah, the kids want the games and stuff like that. But I wasn't around for their games. I wasn't around for sometimes birthdays. Right. I wasn't around for that stuff. And it got to the point my wife finally said, she's like, you know, I didn't want all this stuff. It's you who wanted it. And you know what? You need to look deep inside you to figure that out and to really be vulnerable to figure out it was me. It was my own ego.
Let me jump in on that.
Yeah.
You bring up some really good points. For one, first off, twice over, thank you for your service. One for the Navy, one for riding the thin blue line.
Thank you.
We have much respect for veterans. We have much respect for our police.
Thank you.
I get what you're talking about with regards to and you're going to see me come from behind now because I want to go through your story.
Right.
I get what it means to be a police officer and not have the pay that you deserve, considering that you walked out that door every day, not knowing if you were coming home, for one.
Yeah. And
then to have to go through that whole interview process with IA. I also know that process from friends that have had to do it. It's not fun. It's very, very taxing. It's emotionally draining in some cases. I love how it turned around. I totally love that part because that's just awesome sauce, no matter how you look at it. You're right. I got to tell you, the look on their faces. I'm wondering when was it that you realized that all of a sudden they finally got it, and all of us they started asking questions in reverse. And what did that do to you?
I actually right away. Well, I knew when you go into something and you know you're doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. So I actually went.
I'm just talking about the look on their faces when you saw it light up.
I kind of went in there laughing, like cocky about it, because I'm like, you know, you guys have no clue. You think you're smart, you have limited mindset, you don't know what you're doing, and you know what? If you just open your mind, so I went in there and I was just like throwing things at them, and I knew when I threw things at them, they couldn't answer. But when they started asking me questions, I got to the point. I says, "You guys, basically at this point, I says, you know, you guys just need a lot of help. You need a lot of mindset." And I said, "Man, anyone could do this." And I turned around and I remember I said, "Listen, if being a dumb New York kid is really what you got me for, then that's probably me. But I made it. I don't know."
Yeah, but that's, you know, and this is again, you talk about the limited mindset, and we talk about this in quite a bunch of different interviews.
Huge.
When you're in a situation like yours, you had a broken home. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs do come from broken homes where they're kind of up against it and they have no choice but to rise above that. And like you said, you could have very easily been a statistic, but you decided against and conditioned yourself otherwise. So like, you walk into something like that and it's like, I have no idea what you guys think you're doing, but I'm going to show you what's real.
Right.
And then to be able to, now you're coaching and you're teaching people how to get out of that mindset, whether it's lazy or what's the other one, scarcity, because there's still a lot of that. There's still a lot of that going around. I hate to say it, and I'm not gonna get into the political thing, but there's a lot of pandering to that mindset, and it's really unnecessary. I mean, there's still so much opportunity.
There is, and we always talk about this, and I say, you know what, you see what's going on in politics, and I did run for political office last year. I took a whole year out of my business to run for political office here. And you see what's going on with politics, and you really, if you allow that to really rule your life and regulate what you do,
you're in trouble.
It's like anything else. It's like if there's something bad that happened in your life and you allow that to change the course of what you do, you failed.
Yeah.
You failed out there. And I see a lot of business owners do that. And when I get involved in the business and I consult with that business owner, I get in there, and most of the time, the CEO of the company is their fault. They're the problem. They're the hiccup in their whole business. And it's always a blame game. It's always a responsibility issue. It's always a training issue. So you're absolutely right. But when you go in there and you go in your mindset, that there's a way to do this. And I always looked at everything. I mean, I've had a lot of challenges. If you could do it, why can't I? And I've always had that mentality. And I do that with people. I mentor people when I speak at events. And I always say, if I could do it, why can't you? I don't proclaim to be the smartest person in the room all the time.
Yeah.
If you are, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
But if you want something, figure out how to do it. Find counsel from the person out there that's doing what you want.
Oh yeah.
And then that's how you get it done, right? So whatever you want to do, get a mentor. We'll talk more about this, but get a mentor, get somebody who's doing exactly what you want, and do it. And that's what I love being. That's my true passion, is being that somebody else, changing their life. And I tell people, listen, I'm not a get rich quick scheme. I don't buy into that. I believe, do the work, and you'll get to where you want to be, but also focus on your vision. So
I think a lot of people miss that too. But what you just said is they're still they're still looking for a magic bullet. There's never been one. No. And that, like you said, these guys that are out there renting luxury cars that you already own and have a portfolio. I mean, I know guys that are out that are killing it on e-commerce and stuff, and they're showing off their lifestyle. And I look at that and I go, I see no planning for the future. Yeah. I see the you live only once mentality. And what happens because every economy has a cycle where things reverse for a little bit. Right. I mean, I've watched, you and I have both been in mortgage. I watched the crash of 2008 take someone that we knew who had 6 Lamborghinis, a 6,200 square foot house, a whole floor on a mortgage deal, and about 40 agents under him. In a week's time, gone. Dude might as well have had a skateboard to ride on when it was all over. Now,
oh my God, I've seen the same thing. It's, you know what? And I was that guy. I was lucky because I always added rental properties into my portfolio back then. Yeah. But then I turned around and I said, even with rental properties, I turned around and I said, you know what? This is not 100% passive. There's still work involved, right?
Yeah.
I learned to become the bank. So what I do is I raise capital to acquire non-performing assets from the bank, right? Most of it is non-performing notes, REOs, so foreclosed properties, tax liens, or distressed sellers. But my ultimate goal and my vision at every single point on my vision is that I want to actually turn that into passive income, becoming a bank, creating wealth. That's the true way to create wealth. So I knew that. I said to people, it's a lot sexier making $40,000, $50,000 a property when you flip it, right? Than make $300 a door. But make that $300 a door a couple hundred times and see how sexy that's.
Yeah, and you're not having to deal with it because somebody else is managing it for you.
Right. Well, and when you sell a finance it to somebody, nobody's managing anything for you. It's a servicing company. Completely. I don't do anything. The checks just come. So I have a rental portfolio. I sell a finance company. So the checks just come in. So I'm the bank. I become the bank. My ultimate goal is always to become the bank, but I hold my own portfolio as well. So that allows me now to do whatever I want. Yes. Can I buy any car I want? Yes. Do I buy any car I want? Absolutely not. You know what? And I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. If that's your passion, do that.
Yeah, there's some guys out there that got some really nice collections, man. But that's because that's what they love.
I have beautiful cars myself, but you know what happens? I used to be the type that after every 6 months I would sell and buy an upgrade, buy another car. Get the Maserati, get a Lamborghini, get the Bentley. Every 6 months, and you know what? You lose the giggle real quick in those cars. But what I'll never lose the giggle on anymore, what I'll never lose it on, is my family now will talk about every vacation we go on. Where I spend a lot of my money is on my vacations.
Yeah.
And literally I do what I want when I want. Like, my daughter has field hockey practice tomorrow. It's a 2-hour drive to this place. She asked me to go. I'm going. I would have never done that. There's no way I could have taken a half a day off before. Yesterday, I decided my friends were speaking at an event. I said, let's go to Philly. Let's go to the event. I'm home. I'm not traveling this week. So me and my wife went to Philadelphia on a beautiful day, walked around Rittenhouse Square, had a beautiful dinner, coffee, went to the event, talked to friends. Yeah. Java, right?
It's all about the Java.
I'm a coffee freak too.
Good. We're brothers. It's all good. I'm happy.
I'm a coffee freak. Not to enjoy it. I was like, she's like, you got work to do. I'm like, I always have work to do, but I don't have to do it. That's the difference. I don't have to do anything. And that's
something that Tony Robbins brings up too, is that's he's been quoted on that one, is freedom is the ability to do what you want when you want on your terms. And you've gotten there.
That to me is success. And I don't care what level, it doesn't have to be making $200,000 a month. It could be making, realistically, people can live on any 10,000, 5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Some people can make it that way.
Stop chasing things that really make you happy. If they make you happy, go for them. I was a car nut back then. I'm not a car nut anymore. I'm just not. I'm not a lot. I love watches. I shouldn't say that. But if it's going to impede, what I do with my time, then I'm not going to do it. Because the ultimate for me, my vision is everything. So that's where I've come. That's why my book is called Passive to Prosperous. Passive Income to Prosperous. So the first chapter is so important because it talks about my why. And the other chapters are how to do the business. But that doesn't get me excited anymore, teaching how to do the business. In fact, this Saturday, I'm going to a friend's school. I'm teaching one last time in live. I'm teaching how to raise $1 million or more in 90 days or less, right? From private money, not hard money, private money. Yeah. And after that, all my courses are put online so people can get them online, because we've been asked so many times to come out and speak at events and teach and do that. And I don't truly enjoy that part of it. What I truly love doing now is helping business owners out in all facets, not just real estate, mentoring people one-on-one, true action takers one-on-one, being a keynote speaker at events, talking about the life journey, the roadblocks, the mindset, the scarcity, the limited mindset, taking action. I love that. I love changing people's lives in that audience, telling my story, and I'm as vulnerable as they come out there. I don't have an ego anymore. It doesn't matter to me. I'll be vulnerable because I know by being vulnerable, I can help somebody in that audience, and that's changing lives. I can't tell you how much feedback I've gotten from, books. I'm at events that aren't even real estate events. People are coming up to me and telling me they've read my book, or they heard me speak at a keynote, or they've seen me online. I love that because I know I'm changing their lives. Money.
Sorry to interrupt, but I get a kick out of that too. I don't speak as often as you do, but when I do get a chance to get in front, I'll go to the colleges. And the last time I was at one over here, I literally ran them through. Here's the difference between what you're about to run into and what you think you're going to run into. So I give them what they think they're going to run into, which is, it's just a simple interview. I'm going to go and intern here. I'm going to go do that. And then I said, okay, now you're going to run up against me, the entrepreneur. And these are the questions that I'll ask you, and it never fails. Not a single one can answer. And I said, this is what I run into with you guys. You guys are prepared improperly, and then you can't think beyond what you're taught. I said, you have to change your mindset. That's that limited mindset. You have to change your thinking to look beyond what you know and go find out what you don't.
That's awesome. That's very powerful. That's very powerful.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people that you talk to as well probably run into the same issue, is that they've been you got the seminar junkies that think they know everything, and then you got the people that are coming in fresh that don't know a damn thing, and they have essentially the same mindset. They're not clear.
Right.
You talk about your why in the first chapter of your book. By the way, I'm getting your book, so I need that link.
Okay.
The first chapter, you talk about your why. It's a huge matter. We were just talking before we got started about Think and Grow Rich. The definite chief purpose, your definite aim. What is it that you're really about? You figured out over time that it's not about all the material things, that it's about experiences. I think for the most part, most successful people eventually come to that conclusion that it's not about what you have. It's about what you remember. It's about the things that it's the emotional bank deposits. Does that make sense? You understand that concept? Yeah. And to be able to, and now you're doing it with other people that aren't even your family, to be able to go out and do that with other people, whether they come up to you and thank you or not is irrelevant. You've become a new source of joy for other people, that there's more than what I think there is. There is more. And it's not. It's
funny because a group I have a real good affiliation with. It seems like dentists seem to with what we do. And man, what a tough industry that is! I tell you, I didn't know how tough it was, and I have family that dentists.
Yeah.
But what happens is a couple in dentists had become investors of ours, and it just seems like every single one of them has come to us, and what they're doing is sharing our story out with all their friends in the community. And I must have 80 plus dentists right now hitting me up at different points. We've been invited to come into some dental offices, work with their team, consult with their team. We've been invited to some dentists to work with them one-on-one to build their own portfolio of rental properties in American markets. And it seems like every one of their goals are to get out of the practice. They can't stand it. I hear stories where they have over $400,000 to $500,000 in loans. I have one couple, dentist husband and wife. They have over $1 million in student loans. They hate the business. They're young, and they don't know what to do. They're scared to death. So, can we change their lives? 100%. If they take what we say and start putting it into action, day one, we could change their life. We could talk to them, and a lot of them have to work a ridiculous amount of hours to pay these bills.
Yeah,
it's just the way they were programmed, and they were programmed the wrong way. Now, and I'm going to say this, and on the other hand, there are probably some dentists out there that absolutely love their business, love what they do. They can't think of doing anything else, and that's fine. It's the same thing with material items.
Yeah.
If your why is to save up enough money to buy cars, if your why is to save up enough money to buy boats, whatever it is, and you accomplish that, you hit your why. But the difference is when I speak to people, or when I mentor them, or I consult, I ask them. First time I meet with them, I go through goal setting and what their vision. But their vision is clear, and their actions don't align. They go like this. They don't align.
Yeah, completely divergent. Yep, I see the same thing.
And you see it in real estate investing, right? You see it. I go to these events, and I'm real estate investing, and everyone's out there flipping houses, wholesaling houses, doing all this stuff, right? They're all new. They're on the business the last 5, 6, 10 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm through 3 market cycles. I was at the worst one, 2006, 7, and 8, like you were.
That was a bad one.
I came out unscathed because of the way we did things. I tell them, I said, listen, 30, 40 plus houses every single year, right? What happens if that stops like this? Like your friend who is in the mortgage business, if it stops like this, what happens when that stops? It's a transactional business. When you're in a transactional business, you're stuck by, dentists, doctors. The doctors getting destroyed by. I don't want to talk politics, but Obamacare is destroying them out there. A dentist is making $6 some of them for a cleaning. Yeah. It costs them $35 to $50 for a hygienist an hour to do the cleaning. So you're stuck by alternative third parties coming in and controlling your business. But you have the ability to control your own business if you want to learn. And it's not just as easy as buying a rental property. You want to learn the ins and outs of the rental property. You want to learn what markets to be in, what team to have in place, what price to pay, what kind of updates to do to that property, how to set yourself up as maintenance-free as possible, how to truly make it a passive type of investment, and then learn about the tax benefits and learn it. Don't take that $400 or $500 or $600 a month you make and go to Vegas and throw it down on black. Learn how to pay down your other debt. So when you start, and when I started, I always tell people, listen, I was the Robert Kiyosaki guy. I used leverage. Then I Dave Ramsey guy, pay down. So I hit that pendulum But you know what? People are like, I hear all the time from young guys, oh, you're dumb. You got to use your equity to buy more. I said, yeah, I understand that. When you buy more and you acquire more. But I said, there's something that comes along with psychological sanity, psychological freedom.
Yeah.
And it says, when you turn around, I always say, you'll never go poor not having debt.
Right.
Now, I'm just saying you need debt to build. You do need debt to build. But when you get to a certain level, what's your vision? If your vision is to make a certain amount of money per month so you can live the way you want forever, well, then go down. Now, I have a different – what happened about 3 years ago, I got to the point, and I really bypassed my goals, bypassed them by far about 3 or 4 years ago. And I went through another little bit of a depression. And not truly psychological depression, but a depression where, I'm in my 40s. What is my purpose in life?
I thought you were in your 32. Wasn't that just last month?
Hey, I started. No, I'm sure you've gone through stuff like that. Like, what's your purpose in life? Once you hit a certain goal, what's your purpose?
Yeah. What's after that? What's next?
Yeah, I hit that goal and I was like, what do I do with myself now? Do I want to just sit around and do nothing? Do I just do deals for the sake of doing deals and stress myself out? What do I do? Money is not. See, some people say, well, money's evil. When's enough? They told me, Dan, when's enough? You have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of doors. When's enough? And I said, it's not about the money. The money is now the vehicle to allow me to do what I want to do, to leave a legacy, to fund. I fund a ton. And I'm not the type to go out there and tell people everything I fund because I don't believe that that's the right way to do it. Right. But I put a lot of money into different organizations right now that I believe heavily in. And I love it. And I also have a passion that I want to create this legacy that I'm building an online training course for financial literacy for youth around the world.
That's right. That's something that I think we got into a short conversation about that, and that's been a big thing with me too, because of how little, if to nothing, any of the educational system in our country has any longer. I mean, years ago when we were a kid, completely gone. When we were kids, I think the last thing that we ever had was home ec, and the last thing I remember about that class was maybe balancing a checkbook. Maybe.
That's great.
There was nothing about managing credit. There was nothing about managing finances. It was just balancing the book.
That's great. You know what? When I get at events, I used to speak and do like little library events for parents that come in, and I would tell them, go home, have your kid write you a $10 check and mail it to you. Let's see who can do it. And it would be 0% of the kids could do it. 0%. Yeah. They couldn't figure out check register. They can't address an envelope. They don't know where to stamp. It's ridiculous what's going on.
They're so used to that. They're so used to digital. If anything goes manual, they're completely lost.
We dumbified this world, and I'm not saying it's bad for millennials. Are very smart, and there's a need for them, right? There's a need for what they're doing. They do things fast, and it's great. But we've dumbified this world. Because they can't read a contract, they DocuSign everything. Nobody understands how to read it. Nobody knows what APR is, interest rates, and they go into college. They go into all this debt. They get credit cards. The day they walk into college, they give you out a free credit card. Here's you walk around college. There's $1,000 credit card, $1,000 credit card,
and they use it to go out drinking and partying because they need stress relief instead of using it
out. And they're just taught incorrectly, right?
Yeah.
So my goal is, what are you going to do in this world? And that's my legacy. So we're raising a lot of money, and I'm not saying raising it. Every online training I sell goes into that fund. Every book sale I do, which you don't make money in books, goes into that fund. We're coming up with $450,000 to do this the right way, and then we're going to keep it extremely cheap just to cover server costs and the staffing. That's absolutely it. And it's going to be amazing. I mean, if it comes out the way we're planning, and I usually complete what we're planning, and we're thinking about 2 to 3 more years to get this done, and that's changing for me. So a couple of years ago, when I hit my goals, and I said, you know what else do I do? I love helping. I love helping people. I love teaching this business. So I went out there and I started, mentoring, teaching, and doing a lot more of that. Not for the money. Obviously, you have to pay money for that. Yeah. And the reason you pay money is, one is our time, and two is we want serious people in here. There's too many people that just waste time. But it's truly what we love doing. And we've been a keynote speaker at a couple events now. We get paid for some of our speaking events now. And our ultimate goal is to really take that to the next level, to really touch as many people as we can touch, and just keep getting better at our craft. And that's our craft and what we do. Our business is still running day in and day out. So where most educators or speakers are out there, some of them are not doing this business. We literally, just took down 14 properties in Dayton, Ohio about 6 weeks ago, and and we've already sold off about 8 of them. I think we got another
Nice.
5 ready to go in the next week.
Nice.
So we help investors who want to own their own properties, totally rehabbed, managed, or we don't manage them, or we actually get them the properties where they can fix them. They can do what they want, rent them, and build their own portfolio. And we sell it to them either for cash or seller financing.
So you have, and that's an existing program that you have now available.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'll need a link for that. We'll put that up on OMG Marketing, and then if somebody wants to take a look at it or be a part of it. By the way, if you're listening on the podcast, it'll also be in the description. You'll have the link there too. Click on it. You'll get to see what Dan's up to and how he's helping people. I wanted to touch on something real quick that you mentioned. It's interesting that you want people that are serious. And I learned years ago when I was a little younger.
A year or two ago.
Yeah, right. We're about the same age, if I remember correctly. I learned a while ago from a friend of mine. Says, if you're out prospecting for business, you're going to get 3 types of people. You're going to get the absolute, just not going to happen. You're going to get the ones that are fireballs, which are kind of rare, and then you're going to get the Weight Watchers. And the first time he said that, I was just like, Weight Watchers? And he goes, yeah, I know they get in and they wait and they watch because they want to see it. They want to see it fail. And it's hilarious that mindset still exists. But again, like you said, we've dumbified, we've conditioned our particular country has been so consumer trained that they expect to grab everything in a scarcity mindset with every dollar that they have rather than investing it so that long term they're covered.
Right.
Even for me, coming back from what I went through, because I went through I didn't just go through the recession. I went through a divorce. Oh. So I got a double whammy.
Wow. I mean, that's just,
it is what it is. It took me about a good solid 8 years to get through that and a couple other bad relationships. But the mindset, I have my coach and I've got my colleagues. I mean, I'm sitting here with one of my colleagues right now. Having people around you that have the proper mindset of this is not only doable, it's probable. If you have that kind of a mindset and you're doing like I do the normal, everybody reads their goals, affirmations, and so on and so forth. If you're constantly in the mindset of I can and I will move forward, or I am moving forward,
right?
I think the worldview changes. Things that are bad or not good, you look at with compassion rather than, oh shit, right. It sucks.
Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I have compassion for that. And that's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. A lot of people were saying in this administration, the administration before, and the administration before that, I heard everybody talking about, oh, the economy sucks, it's horrible, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, what are you watching?
Yeah.
What are you looking at? Because I look at the markets and they're doing their normal up and down. I look at the real estate market. I see guys still crushing it out there. I look at other industries. They're killing it. Where the hell are you getting this idea from?
Exactly.
And it just, if you take a viewpoint of this is not going to affect me. And honestly, a lot of people were like, during the last administration, oh, these policies are going to screw business. Well, they might hamper some things, but that doesn't mean you can't succeed. This administration has done a couple of things that were questionable. And mind you, they've been doing very well with our economy, but I mean, it doesn't affect me.
Well,
that's a federal thing.
Think about it.
I'm here.
In 2008, right? You were back in the mortgage industry. Like in 2008, the bank stopped lending, right?
Well, on a moment's notice.
So what happened? What did I do? Did that affect me? That actually helped my business, because what I do is say, you know what? I got all these properties. If banks aren't lending money to investors are not putting their head in the sand saying, the real investors are not done.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I said, you know what? I'm going to sell finance these properties. And how was I able to do that? Because I went from the Robert Kiyosaki to the Dave Ramsey, where I had no debt on these properties.
Well, that's even better.
I said, you know what? I'm going to truly. So I started seller financing these properties back then to owners and then to investors. Perfect. Then all of a sudden we had DoddFrank come out, this great DoddFrank come out. And all of a sudden DoddFrank became a pain in the butt for owner-occupied borrowers. We had to underwrite them. They had to have a certain income. And most of our borrowers that had the income were able to get mortgages. Most of them couldn't show the income. They were the contractors, the landscapers, the entrepreneurs, the realtors, right?
Cash
couldn't show income to get approved. So I was now funding those deals. So I
Wow.
took a negative and made it a positive, and that's something I'm really good at. That's where my core competency is. I can always find a way to negotiate a deal, to actually make that deal work, or to take a situation that's negative and turn it into a positive. And that's what I do. How my whole self.
You're like one of the first guys I've ever heard that actually became a bank because you serviced under Dodd-Frank. Most people that I know that were lending and stuff like that wouldn't touch that anymore. I told you I brokered before, private money and funds. And they owner occupied. I'm not touching it. You're like the first guy I've come across that has.
I touched it a lot, and now I do more invest. I'm 95+% of my stuff is not owner occupied. There's a lot of other reasons for that too.
Sure. But I mean, you actually took the shot at it, and you helped people in the midst of that craziness.
You have to find out how to do it. You just got to underwrite with an RMLO. You have to follow the rules and regulations, and you're fine. You're going to find a lot more investors than owner occupieds that are qualified. But if I have an owner occupied borrower that comes to me to qualify for one of my properties and they qualify, I have no problem handling that. Yeah. Not a problem. But even here's the issue, right? It was all owner occupied. Then DoddFrank came out. We said, everyone's like, well, my business is dead. Your business isn't dead. Why don't you start acquiring properties that investors would like? Investors aren't under Dodd-Frank because it's a commercial loan. So there's always, what I'm saying is there's always some way, whether you could put your head in the sand, give up and say, I quit. And believe me, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you've been in the business, I've been in the business, and there's many times, and I'm not going to proclaim that this business is sunshine and rainbows every day. It's not. There's no.
I'd have a problem with that. I'd have a real where's the other shoe?
And that's the problem. Is too many people are on social media and they're putting the fake out there. That's why my friend Matt he coins it fake book, because you could be whoever you want on there. But when people really start to attract to you, when you get that attraction, is when you become vulnerable and you become honest, right? And I wasn't always there. I always thought I had to be this somebody. I always had to show off. I always had to show that I'm successful. And now I just don't have to show that anymore.
I must have caught you on the back end of that, because I've only seen you talking about how to help people and how to do things. I mean, as long as I've known you, and it's been kind of short. But I mean,
we're talking even before Facebook. It was like when I was out there driving these crazy cars, and it was all. I was working 100, 120 hours a week to keep up with that.
I don't know how you could do that, dude. That's a lot of friggin' hours. How do you sleep?
It was early morning till late at night. I would go out to dinner on a Sunday with a bunch of friends, my wife and a bunch of other couples. And they'd have to wrap up my dinner and bring it home because I was outside till 10, 11 o'clock speaking on the phone. Contractors, realtors, property managers. It just didn't end. And, I was just, why was I doing it? I was chasing the money to actually go out and buy these things that didn't make me happy, these material items. And like I say that, but I also say, if it makes you happy, there's nothing wrong with it. Go do it.
So let me ask you, because I didn't get to ask you this in the beginning. We've kind of been talking about it anyway.
Yeah.
But what would be, and like I said, you kind of touched on this, but what would be your most solid piece of advice to somebody that maybe has that, they're in that space, they're right at that point where they're like, do I keep doing this, or do I investigate doing what Dan's doing, or do I investigate doing what so-and-so's doing, or what would you say to somebody that's like right there? They're like right at about that edge of a cliff, and they don't know if they should jump.
I can keep it really simple. Really work backwards. When I say work backwards, get to your vision, your end goal in mind. Okay, and your end goal in mind is time with your family and your friends to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whom you want, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's good is what the actions you're taking getting you there. All right. So how much money do you need to do that? How much time do you have to get there? Okay. What kind of deals do you need to do to get there? So, like I said, if you need to make, everyone seems to tell me $10,000 a month. If you need to make $10,000 a month, how many years do you have to get there? Well, if you have 5 years till you want to either retire, have your spouse retire, pay for your kids' college, whatever it might be. Okay. You have 5 years. You need to make $2,000 in passive income minimum per year. Increase that every year for the next 5 years, right?
Right.
How much money do you make per deal? Let's say you make $300 a deal, right? You do 8 deals, 7 deals a year. You just add another $2,100 a month in income. How many? You have to work backwards. How many properties do you have to see to get 7 deals? How are you going to get those deals? Do you have money to market? Do you know asset managers? Are you good at picking up the phone? Are you good at knocking on doors? Are you good at social media? How are you going to get those deals? But everybody wants it like this. They want it today. And the problem is, and that's where a lot of educators are taking advantage of people. It's, hey, get rich.
You can't do that. It's just, you're selling
like
a false
weight,
dream.
Right?
Yeah.
Like losing weight. I'm on a health journey right now. I'm in it 2 weeks, and I feel great, down 22 pounds. But it took me. I'm 46 years old. It took me 46 years, and I was in great shape till I hit my 40s. Great shape.
Once you're younger than me, you look better than I do. What the hell?
Must be a good camera.
Yeah, I know, right? I tried to get the best one, and it's not helping. Anyway,
back to that. It's just real quick. It's just your vision. Make sure your vision and actions align, and then get yourself a mentor. If you want to lose weight, take counsel from somebody who's actually doing it. Don't take counsel from someone like me who's not in the best shape right now. Right? If you want to learn passive wealth, then get a mentor in passive wealth. If you want to learn how to flip a property, get a mentor, the best there is. Don't stop with your mindset of thinking it's costing you money to hire somebody, right? It's not a cost, it's an investment. Right. You need to invest in this, okay? And you need to bring somebody value that's going to help you. Before they help you, you need to help them. Because I see it all the time. I mean, we could drink coffee, and we say coffee, right? We could drink coffee, lunch, breakfast, and dinner for the rest of our life for free. Yep. But all the people say, hey, can I buy you coffee and pick your brain?
Yeah.
That to me, that's disrespectful, actually. Yeah. Because you want me to leave my family for 2 or 3 hours for a cup of coffee, and you haven't said, hey, how can I provide you value? Yeah. What can I do to help you provide you value? Maybe bring me the deal, and maybe I'll mentor you at that point, just so you can learn. That's what I would do. Yeah. If I was coming to you and you were like the guy flipping 50, 100 houses a year, and I want to flip, I say, listen, if I bring a house, will you help me? And you don't have to pay me.
I'll split it with your son. Yeah.
You mentored me. You mentored me on these houses. Yeah. And then you probably, at the end, you might throw them 10, 20%, whatever it might be. But that's how you I always say give to get. And people don't understand that model. It's always the WIFM attitude. What's in it for me? Everybody has that WIFM attitude, and it doesn't get you very far.
We call it the WIIFM radio station.
I love it. I love it.
We call it. So, but you're right, and I think, and that Think and Grow Rich talks about that too. If you're only in business to get before giving, you're going to lose. And
every time.
Everything that we try to do here. I mean, like, there goes the rest of the family. Every time we try to get with any of the people that I know, any of my colleagues, I always ask them, "What are you up to? Where can I help?" And it's like, if it's something that I can help with, I jump in. If I can't, I can't. I've got certain skills that I'm good at, and there's other skills I'm just like, I don't know how to do that. But if I know somebody, I can scout for you. If I find someone, I'll get them to you. That at least there's that openness of being like, look, we're all here to serve each other anyway. Where do I serve you?
Right, exactly. You don't have that scarcity mindset.
It doesn't serve. It just doesn't serve.
So many people are scared to actually. So many people are scared to actually help other people out. Like, who can help me with this? And they're like, well, they don't want to tell you, right? Oh, why don't you want to tell? Listen, you don't want to give your lenders away, maybe your private lenders, but other than that, help somebody. If you know somebody can help them. I mean, there's the people who are most successful in this industry are the people that help without looking for anything in return.
Yeah.
And then the people with the scarcity, the newer investors with the scarcity mindset, they don't want to help. They just don't help. And that's the problem. And you see it, they don't go very far at all.
No, they don't. Hey, listen, so we're at about the end of our time. What's the link that somebody can come and see? I'm going to put it up on the screen here, and then I'll also add it. Where can they come and see you?
They can start off, actually, for your group, I'm going to give them a free cheat sheet.
Cool.
PDF. So they can go to passivewealthacademy.com/42K.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to put that up here on the screen. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, make sure you check the description. I'll post this all over the place. Guys, Dan gives a whole bunch of great content. If you're not following him on his Facebook page, make sure you go find him. This is also, again, he just said it's a free PDF for you to start learning how to do this. Don't miss out on it. One of the coolest guys I've come across to date in real estate investing. He doesn't. No, dude, I'm not pumping you. I'm serious, dude. I watch your stuff, and there's very few people that I'll do like Daniil. I can get real deep with him. We've had a great conversation, and I think we probably should have another one somewhere down the line here to keep going, keep people thinking in the right direction here. But I want to appreciate you again. Thank you for taking the time hanging out with us here at Java Chat. Guys, thank you for listening to Java Chat. Thanks for watching on OMG Marketing. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. If you would, and you're watching this, make sure you hashtag OMGM. That's Oasis Media Group Marketing. I got to thank Trish Lito again for helping me on figuring out how to get that acronym correctly. It's OMG. It's Oasis Media Group. We saw that. It was kind of like, what? Oh, dang. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know. So it's now the company's name. But in any case, guys, thank you for watching. You know I love all of you. Make sure you take care of each other. Do the best that you can. Keep your heads up and looking forward. And we'll talk with you guys soon. Again, we got like a whole bunch more of these interviews coming up. I got some great people coming down the line. This was awesome. Dan, all in, brother. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you.
All right, guys. Talk to you guys soon.